This is the solution to the challenge called Challenge Days Between Dates. It was a pretty simple challenge. Hope you found it to be simple. There's only one little tricky bit to it, and that's how to compare the dates between the two selections and the two calendars. And so let's go ahead and get started by creating the project. I'm going to go through it pretty quick until we get to that part. So we're going to create a new ASP.NET web application called Challenge Days Between Dates, and click OK. Empty, add folders and core references for web forms. All right, we will right click. We're going to add new web form, default. Okay, and we'll go over to the design view, go to the toolbox, pin that down, and we'll start with how many days have elapsed. And so choose one date, and then choose another second date. And then we're going to need an OK button. So let's go add a button, and then we're going to need a result label. Okay. And let's remove text out of the result label. Let's give it the right ID. Same thing with the button. Call this OK button. And let's call this OK, like so. All right, now we're going to add two calendars. So here's the first one, and here's the second one. Now, I'm going to refrain from actually giving these a different name. I'm just going to stick with calendar 1 and calendar 2. I mean, at this point, it doesn't really even matter because this is such a simple application. So what we want to do is check the two dates. So let's go ahead and click the OK button. And what we want to do is let's start off by going calendar. Let's go result label.text. We'll do it kind of maybe the wrong way to start off with. Calendar 1 dot selected date subtract, and this is where we want to put calendar 2 dot selected date, and that's gonna give us a time span. So we'll use the total days property of a time span object, and we'll just then call toString in order to put it in the right format here. So let me go ahead and actually, here's something that you can do whenever you're working with a really long line of code. You can separate it right before the dot. You can separate it in several places, but this is a common way to go about it. Again, one line of code, but typically you separate it right at kind of the next method in the chain, so to speak, or next property in the chain. All right, so if we ran the application at this point, we're going to see that it'll work in one case. So let's choose 10 in one and 12 in the other and click OK. And we get a -2, and that's not what we want. If we pull back this one to the 7th instead of the 10th, we get a positive number. So what we need to do is compare the two calendar control dates. And so we're going to do something like this. If calendar 1 dot selected date is greater than calendar 2 selected date. All right, so that was really the trickiest part, was realizing that you needed to do that type of comparison. And so once you have that in place, you can do this, and then you can do the opposite in the else statement. So actually, I'm just going to go ahead and paste that code in and just change from calendar 1 to calendar 2, and from calendar 2 to calendar 1. And let's see if this works correctly. All right, so we'll start with the 10th, and we'll go to the 13th on the bottom one. And that'll give us a difference of 3. And now we'll put the other one, the second date, at the 6th. And you can see now there's 4. So either way, it'll always calculate a positive number because we just want the elapsed days, not necessarily negative numbers for this particular exercise. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully the hints were enough to get you started in the right direction. And so we're going to come back to dates and time spans and the calendar control in an upcoming lesson. We're just going to add a few more little bits and make it a little bit more interesting. So we'll do that in the next couple of lessons. See you there. Thanks.